Hello there, and welcome back to What the Dog, where we talk about what your dog is doing, why they're doing it, and can we fix it. My name is Katie, and I am the owner of For Pete's Sake Dog Training. The purpose of my podcasts are to give pet parents answers to their questions as quickly and efficiently as I can because we're all busy, and I get it. Today, we're going to be talking about enrichment. Now, enrichment is a word I'm very much used to because I spent some time in the exotic animal world, and it is very much making its way into the dog and honestly just pet world as well. Some of us may have heard it before, some of us may have not, and that is totally fine if you haven't. I want to talk about this because I feel like people who have heard the word before, enrichment can seem a little overwhelming, and I'm here to take those fears away and to help you fully understand the word and what that means for you as a dog owner. So, if you have heard of the word before, just kind of take a minute to think about what you picture and envision the definition of enrichment being, what we're seeing on social media, when people, I'm in a lot of groups on Facebook, and when people ask questions about enrichment, it usually has to do with the time, how much, and I think they're really just overthinking it. It shouldn't be that, I guess, complex, and keeping in mind that every dog is different, so their needs are going to be different as well with what we're doing with enrichment in their routine. So for those who haven't heard of the word enrichment, you are fine. I love you. You're here and you have a blank slate. So we're going to dig into it for you as well. If we look at the pure definition of enrichment, enrichment means to add something to increase quality. That's it. So sometimes we enrich our food, right? We enrich our soil for gardening so then we get better quality plants. So enrichment, again, is simply adding something to get a better quality or to increase quality, to get a better outcome, right? And I think of enrichment for my dog specifically outside of their basic needs. So, in order to take care of a dog, you should be feeding them, giving them water, having them a place where they can go potty, and giving them shelter. Those are like very basic needs. Now, we can add enrichment to all of those areas, but generally, anything outside of that you are adding into your dog's life will increase the quality of their life and therefore is enrichment, right? So, I want to talk about all of it. I want to talk about all of it. My brain is like going in a million places. A lot of the times when, and maybe you were thinking of this as the definition of enrichment, is food based. So whether that's your dog's dinner, giving them lick mats, with extra yummy treats on them, or frozen Kongs, Topples, other toys that are usually made with food and treats, frozen, maybe not frozen. And that's what we think of enrichment. And while there is a lot of enrichment, especially online, that focuses around food, that by no means is the only category of enrichment. I'm going to use my dog for an example here. He, I would say he is a snuggler, but he more snuggles next to you and not necessarily on my lap or, I mean, mainly my lap, I guess, but not necessarily on me, usually just laying next to you. And like that is comforting for him. Honestly, letting my dog sit next to me is enrichment for my dog. A bonus, kind of one more step up of enrichment, is when we do lay together and he does physically lay on my lap or we're sharing the recliner together. That is enrichment. It is something different than his daily needs, and it is adding to his life by contributing to the bond that I have with him. And we are growing closer. It's affection on my end, so it does help me as well, but it helps him potentially feel comforted, nurtured, and leads to most likely him being happier, which then leads to him being healthier, right? So by me simply adding some quote snuggle time with him, I'm adding enrichment to his life. Now, again, every dog is different. Not a lot of dogs like the snuggle aspect. Some do, some don't, some tolerate it. These are, again, all reasons why we need to watch our dog's body language to make sure that we are, participating or having them participate in things that don't stress them out. Sometimes it's easy for us to just pick up our little dogs and hold them or put them on our laps, and they may not have really wanted that. So I definitely like to advocate for choice with your dogs, right? I may invite him up to the couch, and if he really doesn't want to get up there after a couple tries of inviting him, then I'm going to let it go. Yes, it breaks my heart, but I'm just going to let it go and let him move on his way and let him do what he likes. Sitting outside, he loves to soak up the sun, and so I have added a outdoor kind of doggy bed. Honestly, it's nothing fancy. It is furniture cushions, like outdoor furniture cushions that I got at a store. I don't know which one, can't quote me there, but I waited until the fall when they go on sale, and I tied that to my garden fence, and he sits on that soaking up the sun. That is enrichment. I'm adding some sunlight and soaking up the sun, sniffing the wind and the smells he can smell while being outside. And that will, again, should make him happier, which will lead to a more higher quality of life. So it's not only about food. It We tend to see it a lot about food. I've posted some reels where my dog and I go take a little walk around a property. That's enrichment. Going on a walk is enrichment. They're going to smell different smells and interact with, maybe not close to close interaction, but they will be exposed, I should say, to different things that will increase the quality of their life. Socializing, right? Smelling new things, like I said, when we're around walking around our property, there's a lot of the times where I may find rabbit fur. Because unfortunately, I do have coyotes in the area. I shouldn't say unfortunately, I don't mind coyotes, but unfortunately for the rabbits, I have coyotes. So I may find some fur. He gets to go sniff. We may find feathers, different leaves and trees, and he's smelling all those smells and absorbing all of that. Sniffing has been proven to decrease cortisol. So, on the flip side, it probably increases some other chemicals and in my dog's brain to make him happy, and usually releases maybe some dopamine. So, again, happier dog, healthier life, right? When we do think about food with enrichment, sometimes I have to admit I get a little, I won't say irked, but a little triggered when people are asking so many questions about how long should enrichment last, or I need something that lasts longer. And I'm not saying that's a totally bad question or invalid. Sometimes I do think people get wrapped around the thought that enrichment means time, and enrichment has to take a long time, and it doesn't. I mean, like I said, just taking my dog out into the yard and letting him sniff a feather, that's enrichment, right? Most of the time, why I think people are really getting honed in on something that takes longer for their dog is because we are busy. We are busy people running around, and we don't necessarily have the time to be able to go on walks, and go do these things that are going to meet our dog's needs. And they have a lot of energy, and we need to try and help them burn energy in ways that may not require our physical presence the whole time. Or maybe, it's helping them with their anxiety, right? And they're going to be in a situation for a longer amount of time. So we want something that lasts longer. Like, I get it, right? You want something that lasts long but is cheap because, again, the economy kind of sucks right now. We're all spending money that we don't have. So it's very common for that to be your go-to. I need something that will last a long time. And I'm just here to reiterate that doesn't necessarily, it's not really what enrichment is. However, I do want to share some things that I have brought into the kind of general necessities that your dog needs: feeding, water, potty, shelter, right? Within those four categories, I can add enrichment to make each of those elevated, and then therefore increase my dog's quality of life. So let's just take food, for example. If you add toppers, if you add supplements, powders, bone broths, whatever it may be, that is enrichment and you're adding to the quality of your dog's life. If you are someone who is on a time crunch and you don't have necessarily the time to physically work with your dog, I do tend to get into mental stimulation with my dog with his meals, at least one meal a day. One, his breakfast is usually in like kind of a slow feeder bowl that has a lot of his supplements. His dinner tends to be more in a mental stimulating way. We train, we do puzzles. I hide his food around the house to make him sniff for it. So things that are going to mentally stimulate him, that's all enrichment as well. And yes, those do usually take a little bit more time, mainly because I've looked at my schedule and I am very busy with training in the evenings and he has been sleeping all day. So he has energy and I don't necessarily have the time. So I will think about how can I take his normal needs of feeding, water, potty, shelter, and up those a little bit, make them more exciting, make them more activities, and include activities that are natural to dogs, right? Help him be a dog inside my house. And that's what I'm thinking about. So when I'm doing food puzzles, he's using his scavenging abilities by sniffing. He's also problem solving by using his paws or his nose and trying to figure out how to get more food out. So those are all very healthy physically and mentally for him to increase his lifespan. Maybe not his lifespan, but his quality of life. I'm not going to get into the specifics on lifespan because I'm not a research person who can back that up, right? So that was just a little slip of the tongue, but increase the quality of his life generally. There are times I will make lick mats and I will make frozen ice cube dog treats. And maybe I'll plop those in his water. Maybe I'll add some bone broth into his water. On hot days, I'll stick him outside with some ice cubes. I will fill a lick mat or a Kong. Actually, I really love West Paw, and I think it's Messy Mutts. I need to look at some other brands, but they are just a little easier to clean. So I do like those a lot. And I will fill those and keep them in my freezer. And yeah, if I need him to maybe relax a little bit, settle down, I may add some of those throughout his day. Randomly, I'm like, here's a little treat. I really like ice cream treats. So why can't I give some to my dog, right? So all of those are great. The enrichment side of things, I do find I'm trying to educate my clients on implementing more enrichment, honestly, every day with their dog, because enrichment can be the key to solving these unwanted behaviors that I'm always getting approached about. And I know that seems weird because you think, I want my dog to stop jumping on me and stop mouthing me or stop barking at me. And all you're doing is telling me to go take him on, a safari walk, or to roll his kibble up in a towel, or to read him a book. Like literally, I've read to my dog out loud because I'm reading the whole thing for me, but I've done that. Or I dance with him in the kitchen, right? Making him happy. Yes, that can help solve a lot of those problems, because most of the time when your dog is demand barking, when they are mouthing and nipping at you or jumping at you, we have an overstimulation of emotions, whether that's frustration, anxiety, excitement, and we need some sort of enrichment that we can help with that, whether that means their needs aren't getting met, so they are bored and frustrated, so that's why they're demand barking at you, or they're mouthing at you because they're frustrated. Some of those also, especially with puppies, have to do with them getting a nap and getting enough rest, but that's a whole other topic. Rest is definitely important for a lot of these behaviors too, but or jumping at you, you're trying to clean the house or do whatever you need to do and your dog is just at you constantly. It's normal dog behavior. We may need to add some of this enrichment into his daily schedule to help meet some of these needs that aren't being met, help burn some energy that they have still in their body, and they're not going to push that energy out on you. They're going to instead be focused on the enrichment that you're doing with them and get that energy out in that way. So I like to think also of enrichment as meeting in the middle. My dog needs X, I need Y, and we're coming together. Maybe I should say X and Z, and we're coming together to meet Y. So I do find that it's a little bit more of a barrier or bridge, I should say, between my dog's wants and my wants, or his needs and my needs. Again, a lot of that is due to our busy schedules. So I am constantly talking about enrichment to help meet the needs of your dog. So, therefore, that will inadvertently stop the mouthing as much, the demand barking as much. If your dog is happy and content, then they probably don't need anything for you. So they're not trying to seek attention from you by jumping, barking, nipping, right? So that is a very common conversation I have with my clients. Also, it can help with their emotions. Like I said, it's an overstimulation of emotions. So sometimes even just having them hold on to like a bone or a toy when they're overly excited, it helps direct that energy off you and onto an object. I do use a lot of enrichment with my nervous dogs. So whether we are on walks or in the home with my dog, when people come into my house, he always has a licking enrichment available because licking is a behavior that calms dogs down. They do that naturally. So I'm going to kind of help him naturally calm himself down with a licking toy like a lick mat or a West Paw, a filled West Paw. When we're on walks, like I said, sniffing decreases cortisol. So if he's getting a little too stressed because he does get triggered by people and dogs, we go through our training, we do all of that. Sometimes after we've seen a person, I can tell that his emotion is increasing because he's pulling on the leash more and he's walking faster. And sometimes even just how much he's looking around, rather, he just seems a little bit more jittery, right? I will throw treats in the grass, have him sniff those treats out. That sniffing will help decrease his cortisol, help relax him. That is enrichment, and that is adding something to his life to increase the quality. It all comes around full circle. So I definitely like to use enrichment to benefit my dog to help manage their emotions as well. Dogs are living in a human world, and our human world is ever evolving, and dogs are also evolving, and it is something that we need to focus on with our dogs. So the quickest, if you're like, how can I add enrichment to my dog's life today? How can I get started? I would just think about what you do with your dog on a daily basis and think, could I add some time where maybe I sit out in the front yard with them while they sniff in the grass and people walk by? I did that all the time at my house. I would sit in my front yard for like 15 minutes, and that's how I helped socialize my dog. And I would toss some treats for him. I'd play some games, but that's also bonding time. So there's a lot of enrichment that can be multi-layer: bonding, feeding, releasing emotions to manage your emotions, or just doing normal dog activities, right? So you could figure out a way that you could spend a little bit more time together. You could decide, I think, maybe there is a time of day where you are busier and they have energy and you're not able to kind of meet them to where they are. So you want to meet in the middle. I have a client who she's very busy in the mornings and she's like, I don't really have time to like get any energy out in the morning. But at the end of the day, my kids are home and they get all the dog's energy out. So we are doing feeding activities for breakfast while she is busy getting ready because she has a young puppy and her puppy is getting into trouble in the mornings, quote trouble. He's just being a normal puppy, but he is a little bored. He has been tearing up his bed. He's been doing behaviors that we don't like, but it's very normal for a dog. So we're going to see how we can meet in the middle. We're going to add some activities for him that are very dog natural and help kind of scratch the itch of what he's doing in the morning, but in a safe way that we agree with, right? So we're going to play some games with his breakfast. We're going to have him go kind of scavenge and hunt for his breakfast, as well as do a little bit of training. And we're going to set up his area to be a nice, calm, relaxing environment once we're ready to leave and we have this kind of schedule that we've set. So what you can do today, think about how you can spend more time with your dog. Can I get them sniffing something? Can I get them chewing on something, licking, even digging? If your dog loves to dig, how can I help them dig? Is that with a toy that they have to? There's those toys that they're like hide and seek toys, right? It's like the first one I got and the first one I saw was this log. It's a stuffy log And it comes with little squirrels, and you put the squirrels in it. Do I need to have that? That's a little bit more pulling than digging, but your dog might like to dig that way. Um, if your dog likes to dig, maybe you build a dig pit in your yard, you get a baby pool, and there's lots of things. If they like to swim, you can have some swimming activities at your house. Pete loves sniffing. He loves sniffing. So just walking around our property or throwing some treats in the grass to help him sniff, um, doing puzzles with his dinner time, great ways that I can easily add enrichment for my dog's day. So I do have an enrichment guide available. You can find that on my Patreon page if you want some ideas. You definitely can go to TikToks, Instagrams. You can search a lot of that as well. Like I said, we don't necessarily need to think about the time. We don't need things that take forever, because through all this enrichment, again, we want to watch our dog's body language to make sure they're not stressing out too much. Great example of that. I tried one of the plastic Jolly Balls with my dog Pete, and I was watching him chase it, kind of chase it. It was more like because he was trying to pick it up between his mouth and his feet, it kept moving, so he'd keep going after it. And I watched him, and his pupils were huge, and he would not stop trying to pick it up. And I even asked another trainer, what do you think about this? And we both said, he is stressed. This isn't fun for him. This is stressful because he can't pick the ball up. So we don't play with the jolly ball because it actually causes him stress instead. So those are things to keep in mind. We want the enrichment to be adding quality, positive, healthy, and fun. So keep that in mind, but I'm sure you can come up with so many different ways. And for some people, they need to put these items on the calendar. Some people will go out and buy a bunch of toys, which is fine. I promise, depending on your dog, again, every dog is different. My dog will tear up cardboard and packing paper, but he won't eat it. So I will make puzzles out of my recycling, or I have a lot of like yogurt plastic containers that I will do enrichment from those. Where enrichment, I mean like feeding puzzles, lick mats. I will flip them upside down and put them around my house and hide kibble under them. So there's a lot of activities I do. Again, on my Patreon page, I have feeding games that you can play for your dog. So great way to kind of, not have to go out and buy things. I bet you have things around your house. I mentioned towel enrichment. I have dog specific towels that I use to twist up, wrap up, tie up different treats and kibble and give to my dog. I have different treats like duck feet and chews that I give to him. That is enrichment, just giving him a duck foot every once in a while. It's great. So that doesn't last long. I'm not looking for something that lasts an hour. I'm just looking for something that makes him happy and increases his quality of life. I've said that like 20 times now. I hope you understand now by the end of this of what enrichment really means. And there's so many different things you can do with your dog to give them enrichment. So if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. Definitely go check out my Patreon page. That's patreon.com/fur Pete's sake, FUR Pete's sake.com. You can also go to my website, www.furpetesaketraining.com, and you can learn more information about me, my training services. You can email me there, reach out to me if you need any more assistance. You can also comment here below if you'd like to have me talk about a specific topic or have any questions, or just want to say, hey, I listened to you today, and like give a little wave because I love the support. So thank you all for joining What the Dog one more time, and I will see you guys next time. Have a good one.